Dan Trachtenberg saved the Predator IP. After Shane Black completely misfired with 2018's The Predator, Trachtenberg directed and then released 2022's Prey, no relation, which was a new take on the Predator franchise set in the distant past rather than a typical contemporary setting, or at least contemporary with the exception of the off-world planet that the movie Predators was set on, of when each respective Predator movie was released. Because the 80s, the 90s, the Olivia Munn. But Prey bucked that traditional franchise staple by being set in 1719 with a story told from the perspective of a female Comanche warrior named Naru. The movie creatively added its own spin to the narrative proceedings by infusing the traditional Predator narrative, i.e. the film introducing characters who are eventually hunted and killed in gruesome fashion for sport by an alien species we colloquially either refer to as a predator or one ugly motherfucker, all alongside a story featuring themes with gender dynamics and colonization, which added immense layers of depth to the film. Also, the Predator fights a grizzly bear. All around, Prey was a pretty awesome cinematic endeavor embraced by both critics and fans, to the point that not even the usual get woke go broke brigade could derail the movie's acclaim. Though of course, to their discredit, these grifter chuds truly put forth a valiant effort. After Prey's success and how director Dan Trachtenberg remained attached to the Predator franchise, the denizens of the internet speculated on what would be next for the film series and its extraterrestrial poachers, pondering specific historical settings for a new Predator movie as if it were Assassin's Creed. You know, like Predator in Greece, or Predator in Egypt, or what I personally desire, Predators of the Caribbean. However, Dan Trachtenberg ultimately approached a Prey follow-up in an unconventional fashion by directing not one, but two new Predator movies. One of these films was Predator Badlands, which hit multiplexes later on in 2025, and was a very fun yet unique take on the series worthy of its own video. And the other film was Predator Killer of Killers, which released on streaming in the front half of 2025 and was an animated anthology film that more closely aligned with Prey's concept of Predator versus insert historical people or culture here. In fact, Predator Killer of Killers is closer to the speculation of what type of movie audiences and fans predicted that the next live-action Predator would be like. Though instead of one historical setting, Predator Killer of Killers features three perspectives that include Norse Vikings, Japanese samurai, and an American World War II fighter pilot, which are all very compelling storylines featuring their own protagonists and introducing those said protagonists as having their own lives, needs, and goals even before being stalked by dangerous Mr. Mandibles. Each character embarks on their own narratives and quests centered around ideas like revenge, grief, abusive family dynamics, and proving oneself, which all ground the audience into Predator Killer of Killers stakes, ensuring that we care about these characters even before an actual predator shows up. Of course, these protagonists eventually realize they are being stalked by a predator with murderous technology far surpassing their own, and quickly formulate their own version of how to catch a predator. Maybe they should try catfishing. And from there, some of the usual predatorisms you would expect in a Predator movie generally occur. You know, like the craftiness and the guerrilla-esque warfare employed by the series' various main protagonists in order to tip the odds of their battles against their technologically advanced foe a little bit more into their favor. But Predator Killer of Killers still establishes some fresh ideas. The movie's emotional core with its aforementioned character development hits harder than most live-action Predator movies. The art style and animation is both detailed and visually distinct, which credit to the Third Floor, which is normally a special effects studio, and Joshua Wasong, who is the co-CEO of the Third Floor, and actually the co-director of Predator Killer of Killers, for their achievement with the animation here. The story of the World War II fighter pilot, whose action focuses on an aerial confrontation with the Predator, is really cool because that's kind of new for the series, considering that conflicts between humans and predators are generally fought face to fuck ugly face. And then there's how Predator Killer of Killers' final act narratively ties all these storylines and characters together in satisfactory fashion. I will not say how or why due to spoilers, but I was overall happy with Killer of Killers' conclusion because there were some really strong franchisal innovations here. overall allowing Killer of Killers to be a really strong Predator film. Ultimately, Predator Killer of Killers is the true sequel to Prey, more so than the live-action Predator Badlands. While yes, to be clear, Predator Badlands is great on its own merits and in how its deviations from the Predator formula succeed as its own movie, Killer of Killers is closer to Prey in terms of style, tone, and just being a Predator movie, all while also advancing some of Prey's new ideas, particularly by foregoing the contemporary setting in favor of multiple historic ones, all while introducing some newer concepts and cool reveals as well that add its own spin to the Predator formula, overall establishing Killer of Killers as its own film, and one that I hope more people watch, because despite how some might wrongfully believe this movie is secondary to the live-action Predator Badlands due to how it was direct-to-streaming and its animated nature, this Predator venture is honestly overall superior to most Predator movies. And for those miffed by Predator Badlands franchisal alterations, critiques that I understand but vehemently disagree with, Predator Killer of Killers is the embodiment of the Predator film you are looking for. Killer of Killers is Prey's true successor. Thank May for requesting this video.